DeFi tools for many years. We'll make sure that our panelists make sure to define all of our technical terms that we are using. But for me, I think over the past few years, the rise of decentralized finance and new technology tools where we actually have the ability to empower ourselves financially outside of traditional financial products that are offered by banks, who we have now found out are mostly insolvent and stealing people's money, that we actually have much better solutions out there that are not usually controlled by a centralized company. True decentralized finance is bringing a lot of opportunity to people around the world, and I'm so excited to have so many experts with us on this panel to introduce themselves. Firstly, your experience in this industry and what you think is one of the most important, empowering topics within the intersection between DeFi and governance. So please go ahead, you can start off.
Yeah, it's a real honor to be here. My name is David Loveplass. I'm a managing partner with Global Cannabis Holdings. We built a tokenized ecosystem of cannabis companies. We currently have ownership in 40 different portfolio companies and wrap it all up into one equity token out of Luxembourg. The idea behind this is basically offering a diversified, decentralized investment vehicle into the entire cannabis industry to make it accessible and scalable.
Very cool.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
My name is Matt Frazier. Appreciate the opportunity. So we tokenize communities, and our first project is with the Texas Nationalist Movement. We have come alongside them utilizing DeFi protocol to be able to enable Texas to have the opportunity to vote for independence. And so the nature of DeFi and its intersection with politics and with ultimately independence and freedom and sovereignty is what we're focused on. And you know, this next phase in the blockchain, you know, it used to be kind of one ring to rule them all, and everybody was a maximalist on one thing. And DeFi with no admin keys and immutable contracts with DAOs enable some amazing things to happen for people's, you know, increasing their freedom and sovereignty. And so we tokenize communities. There's about 500,000 people in the Texas Nationalist Movement, and 66% of Texans in a recent poll have said that they would support Texas independence. So the byproduct of the work that we do is hopefully to birth a new nation.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And Kyle?
So my name is Kyle Kemper. I started in the space I saw the white paper in March of 2010. I was like, I don't get this, and I just dismissed it. I was really into gold and silver at the time. I was like, nah, I just don't get this. But then in 2013, someone walked into my life, and he's like, I have 50,000 Bitcoins. I was like, wow, tell me more. And he answered all the questions. Turned out he was a bad actor, but he helped the journey and helped trigger that light bulb moment for me that has allowed me to go from being a student to a teacher. I wouldn't call myself a master, but to a master evangelist in helping set up people and showcase how this technology really works. I wrote 2 books, one called The Unified Wallet, Unlocking the Digital Golden Age, which is a very short read, which anybody can kind of understand about the importance of self-sovereign wallets in holding on to our keys and to own your data. And then I wrote a book after the Canadian trucker movement, the great Canadian trucker movement, called CanadaO, How We Return Power to the People. It was originally titled CanadaO, Why We Don't Need a Prime Minister, but that was a little bit cheeky given my family. And now I work for a company, or I've started a company called Raise, and it's a private fundraising platform. You could think like a Republic, but private. So you get to set up your deal, and then you have a link to share with other investors that they can come in. So you're not exposing your baby to the world, but you're creating a all-in-one shop to do due diligence, to be able to invest in a deal, to sign documents, and use crypto as a means for investing. I'm very bullish on decentralization. I don't ascribe to any single camp. I love Bitcoin. I love Satoshi's vision. I love Dogecoin. I love Monero. I'm not a big fan of Ripple, but whatever, and so that's me, and I'm really grateful for this time, and I just want to say if I've offended anybody in the past, aloha and ho'oponopono. Love you.
Thank you so much, Kyle. And Augustine, please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Augustine Gohill, co-founder and CEO of MMAI. Who we are is we are a tech company that work in blockchain and a lot of other related industries. What we've done is we partnered with a couple of university research labs. They're based out of South Korea at a university, NS Labs, ICT, Convergence Labs, and they've done a lot of work with the government there, with the military, with private industries, with a lot of large companies, and they worked in the Web3 space. So it's blockchain and it's a lot of other related industries with that, but they are academic labs, and their main purpose is to do the research work and then put that research out there. On top of that, they do have the software engineers that actually work with this technology and get it ready for market, but then they usually turn that over to the government, to the military, or to industry to take that work forward. So what we've done with MMAI is we partnered up with them, and we're taking a lot of the research and a lot of work that they've done over the years, and they've done some brilliant work, they've written some brilliant papers, and it's really cutting edge things. They're working on things that are very unique in the Web3 space and blockchain, things that no other companies have quite accomplished yet. We're at the infancy in this industry. There's a lot of growth and there's a lot of technology that really needs to be forward and advanced in order to get the type of adoption we want. Obviously, when we talk about governance, one of the big things about governance, and the reason people are here for this week, is because, you know, we feel like independent people, individual people are extremely important. And this technology is really geared to give power to the individual. And that's kind of what we're trying to bring out with our company.
Absolutely. Empowerment of individuals through DeFi, I think, is going to be a strong theme in our discussion, and I'm really excited to hear from Paul. So pleased to be gracing the stage with you again.
Nice to be on the stage with you, Brittany. My name is Paul Snow. I've been in the crypto space very, very early on, probably around 2010 too. My introduction was through Slashdot and reading all the geek stuff, and but I mostly watched it. Bought a bunch of Bitcoin a little early, and then around 2013, I just went full time and founded the Texas Bitcoin Conference along with the people from the Austin Bitcoin meetup. A meetup that I continue to host even today on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock. Tune in. In any case, it's still virtual at this point. But in any case, I also got involved in protocol development, and I built a protocol for organizing data on the blockchain called Factum. And using Factum, we were able to work on medical wallets for the Gates Foundation. We were able to create IoT security for the Department of Homeland Security for monitoring the border particularly. Basically, with IoT devices, they're often deployed in situations where you have no physical security. Therefore, you're really relying on crypto security, and if it isn't good, well, it turns out the cartels and other bad actors pay a lot better than DHS does, and so they overwhelm the security that DHS tends to deploy. We got into supply chain work and so forth, and that protocol's been rebranded as Accumulate. Accumulate adds digital identity and actual curation of the data so that you can track and hold responsible the parties that are adding to the logs of decision making and processes on the blockchain for better auditing. And so when you start getting into DeFi and governance with the blockchain, you have to start asking, does your blockchain model what is happening in the government or what is happening in your organization or in your bank? And does it have the right resolution, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm perfectly willing to bore you to death about all the details in this.
Well, on this panel, we're not bored by these ideas. We think that these are the essential issues that a lot of people on this panel are solving. So what are the biggest problems with existing governance in financial systems that decentralized finance can solve? I'd like to take that first.
Well, I will say the biggest problem is that nobody wants to solve these problems. And so that's your biggest problem. So we can solve almost everything on the blockchain in terms of creating auditability, security, privacy of actors until the covers need to be taken off to find out why, a train wrecked in Ohio or whatever. But the problem is every actor that participates in finance and banking,
and government too.
They hear auditability, they don't hear that word with an A, they hear liability. So every time you say auditability, they hear liability, and it's a terrible thing.
Yeah, this is one of the great challenges that we face in building new models and trying to incorporate transparent accountability technology into both finance and government systems is they are by nature centralized, secretive, and have become increasingly corrupt. They are not going to open their books towards radical transparency, so it's going to need to come from the outside. But really, I'm a huge believer in Buckminster Fuller's quote, which is, you can't fix a system by fighting it. To truly change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. And so we need to show and put in place new models that are just going to move this away. We are entering the golden age. We are entering the age of Aquarius. The systems from the Piscean age will no longer apply. Things are changing. We cannot try and fix the IRS. We cannot try and fix the US government system. It is time. This is honestly, I feel like this is our kind of 1776 moment for building new systems to take our power back, to include people, and to really rise up together.
Yeah, the reason that Bitcoin was invented was to remove counterparty risk. It was meant to remove middlemen. And if you think about this idea of having an alternative, I love what you're saying, because no empire ever paid back their sovereign debt, ever. And so the story of humanity is spending ourselves out of existence. And so we see the fractional reserve banking system and that problem. I think you're 100% correct. We have to create an alternative system. And there's so many people that see an opportunity to say, hold on, let's take the legacy system and shoehorn it into blockchain. I'm not interested in any way. This has to be a wholesale change in the financial system. And if you think about what it represents, is if in fact fiat currency is by decree, then it is an agreement that we make between parties, because we determine value when we negotiate it individually. And so if fiat can be by decree, let's decree our own value. Because the fact of the matter is, people have been oppressed by those that can change database records and print 9 trillion more dollars. And so we're at the mercy of that. Satoshi gave us a gift. And this is a gift that actually reflects, I think, more of how nature is designed, because it reflects this ability to have abundance versus scarcity. And that model of scarcity is one that's extracting value. And we finally have a solution. If we can build something that has the proper infrastructure that is vertically aligned, then we can literally not take a central bank digital currency wallet, not take a social credit score or a digital ID, and be able to still transact. Now that's pretty naive and Pollyannish, what many would say, because the current systems do not want to go away. But at the end of the day, the sovereignty and freedom that is increased through cryptocurrency and through DAOs and that management, in my opinion, we have to rally around.
And quickly too, it's happening. It's been built.
Yep.
It's all underway.
And to make it work, it's all about accessibility of education right now. People need to be able to use these tools, use them easily. It needs to be simple for the average person to understand. You shouldn't have to be a techie to understand crypto to use DeFi. It needs to be simple, it needs to be everywhere, and it needs to be education forward.
Well, let me point out that the reason that it isn't already simple is because the U.S. oppresses innovation.
Agreed.
And oppresses innovation inside of the crypto space in particular. And I will say as well, you may not like the idea of incremental innovation, but incremental innovation is the only path forward. So I